everyone. The hockey playoffs, they are just flying by. Round 2 has already started. We haven't been able to get the video out. I'm also missing someone. You notice Chris Payon is not here in the studio with me. Why? Well, because the playoffs are just going by like this. So we couldn't arrange a time. Round 1 ended. And before we can do anything, round 2 started. So there was already one game played, in case you didn't watch that one last night, but we'll get to that. But before we get to round 2, let us talk about round 1. Me and Chris, we both picked the same picks, and we did not plan that. Just worked out that way. And we went 500. We had 4 wins, 4 losses. So let's talk about the teams that won. Vegas, Philadelphia, the New York Islanders, and man, they looked impressive against the Capitals. And then, of course, the Colorado Avalanche. Those are the 4 teams that advanced, that we picked to advance. And obviously, I think the upset of all that was the Islanders versus the Caps. By the way, breaking news today, the Caps have fired their head coach. So you see that Washington is going to start shaking things up and see what they can do, because the window on their older players like Ovechkin, their star players, is closing. All right, so now let's go to the teams that we said we're going to lose, but won. The Canucks, they did get through. Dallas, they got through. I think, though, we both said that those 2 series were going to go 7 games. They didn't go 7 games. They both went 6 games. But nonetheless, I think I said do not bet on those games, and that's the reason why. And then the 2 upsets that we really were behind, based off of how Boston was playing, based off of how Tampa Bay was playing, and the injuries to Tampa Bay, we thought them 2 would be out, but they both moved on. And I would like to say that I believe Boston moved on because of Tuukka Rask. After they lost Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricane, Boston, Tuukka Rask, the goaltender, he decided to opt out. He said that it didn't feel like playoff atmosphere, and he wanted to be home with his family. It's very understandable. I'm not going to criticize the man for that. But I will say, I think that was the shock, the injection that Boston needed, the wake-up call. Because Boston, look, they looked sleepy during the qualifiers, and I think that woke them up. And, having a guy like Yaroslav Halak as your backup goaltender, that guy could start on practically any NHL team right now. And you have a starting goaltender as backup. He jumped in there, he did his job, Boston woke up, and they advanced. I was dead wrong with the Lightning and the Blue Jackets. I really thought Trotz would have his team going. I think the Blue Jackets, they just said they played a lot of games. They looked tired, and a couple of those games with Tampa Bay went to overtime also, and they just couldn't. They couldn't hold up to that. They just looked like they were zapped by the light. They had no energy left going into that series, and I think Tampa Bay benefited from having the rest of the qualifying rounds. All right, so we are going to do our round 2 predictions, and I'm going to go first, and then we're going to get Chris Payon on a call, and he will give his predictions. And again, we don't discuss these with each other, so we just do them ourselves, and we see. Sometimes we match up, sometimes we don't. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Vancouver Canucks. I'm impressed with the Canucks. Remember, I did not pick them to advance to the second round, but I am impressed with them. They are young, they are talented, and Markstrom, their goalie, he's been playing lights out. But I just don't think that's enough to beat the Golden Knights. I think that the Golden Knights, they're a much better 2-way team. They have that goalie tandem of Lerner and Fleury. We just talked about having 2 starting goaltenders and how it benefits the team. Well, this is where it benefits the team. And I just think that the Golden Knights are going to beat the Vancouver Canucks in 6 games. So I think the games will be close. I think they'll be interesting. But I do think the Knights advance in 6 games. Let us move to the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. Now, as I said, round 2 already started, and that was one of the games that were played, and Dallas won that game. In fact, they won that quite handily. They scored 6 goals in that contest, and Dallas is not known for scoring goals. The problem here is the goaltender for the Avalanche. He was injured in that game. Grubauer was injured in that game. So now they got the backup goaltender, Pavel Francouz, who's coming in, and hopefully I pronounced his name right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But he's coming in, and he's got to step it up. The good news for the Avalanche is they can score goals, and Dallas is not known for it, even though, again, last night they did put up a lot of goals. So I picked this before that game yesterday, and I picked Dallas in 7. I'm going to stick with that. The goaltending now really worries me for the Avalanche. All right, so let's move over to the East Coast, and we go with the Philadelphia Flyers versus the New York Islanders. I have no love for either of these teams, being a Penguins fan, but I got to pick a winner, and I think that the Islanders are playing the best hockey of the playoffs. I think Golden Knights on the West are playing the best hockey. On the East, it's the Islanders. They're playing lights out. Philadelphia, they started off strong against Montreal. Remember, Montreal wouldn't have made the playoffs if it wasn't for the qualifiers. They started off strong against a team they should have beat, but then they started faltering. You saw that there was chinks in that armor. And I think that the Islanders, with Barry Trotz, are going to steamroll them. I think this is going 5. This to me is the lock. 5 games. I think Philly just looks outplayed. I mean, just look what they did to the Capitals and the Islanders. I don't think Capitals are a better team than Philly. That's all I can say. All right, and last but not least, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Boston Bruins. Now, again, these were 2 teams that I did not pick to be here, and I think they woke up after the qualifiers, and I think again certain things helped them out. Tuukka Rask, like I mentioned before, but this time I'm going Lightning. I think it's going to go 7 games. I think it's going to be a very entertaining series to watch. I just think that the firepower of the Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be too much for the Boston Bruins, even with Yaroslav Halak in net. That's the way I see it going. Again, if I was a betting man, I'd probably stay away from this one. But Tampa Bay in 7. All right, so let us try to get Chris Payon on the line. And if we get him, he's going to give us his picks. And if not, I got his picks written down, and I will give them to you guys. So let's go ahead and see if we get Chris on the line. Chris, if you can hear me, welcome. Let's get this started. You know, we both did really well. Well, not really well. We were 500. So let's see what we could do this round, Chris. I'm going to throw it to you, and I'm going to start with the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Vancouver Canucks. Chris, what do you think?
All right, well, let's see. I got the Vegas Golden Knights winning this one in a close matchup. I believe I have them going 7 games on this one.
Let's move on to the Avalanche, and again, they played yesterday, but I don't think that's affecting your pick because I have a hunch that you are picking the Avs. Actually, I have it written down right here in front of me. But go ahead, Chris. Let's talk about the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars.
I'm going with the Colorado Avalanche despite a secret little insight on a friend that I have that is a Colorado Avalanche fan who believes Dallas is too physical, but I still believe that the firepower of the Colorado Avalanche will win this one, but it will also go 7 games.
Well, let us move on to the East Coast and talk about the Philadelphia Flyers versus the New York Islanders. Chris, your take on this?
I'm going with. This is a tough one, really tough one here. People believe that this is a matchup to watch. I like this game. It hasn't been done in years, but I'm going to go with the Islanders nonstop here, and I'm going to say the Islanders win in 6 on this one.
And now, last but not least, 2 teams that we both picked to not be in the playoff or not be in this round. You know, we have them both upset. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Boston Bruins. Go ahead, Chris. Let me know what you think about that series.
I'm also going to go with I'm going to go with Tampa Bay on this. I'm going to believe this series goes also to 6 games, but Tampa Bay is going to win. And yes, we both have these teams now here.
All right, Chris, is there any closing remarks you want to give before we let you go so you can get back to work?
Yeah, Tom Wilson, I really appreciate you losing and making it not exciting to see you. But hopefully we see you in a Penguins uniform someday.
All right, Chris, thank you for joining us today, and hopefully next time we get you back on the video.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, so everyone, thank you again for watching the video. If you like it, please like, subscribe, hit all the stupid buttons that are located probably everywhere on the screen these days. And we'll do this again. We'll see how we did. We'll come back. We'll talk more hockey. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good one, everyone.